Hey everybody, so today it's the big day, the one you've all been waiting for, the self-hosting day. I'll just give a quick background on why I'm doing this video and what's brought me to try doing this so early. I'm going to be working today with the example of LearnBook and how I'm going to be hosting LearnBook on AWS. And why I want to do this at the very, very beginning of the project is because I just had the experience of another project where we fully built it out on the Noodle cloud. And we got to the point where we were testing it and we had a couple of users and some real data in the app. And we got to the point where we realized that it would be better if we hosted on our own servers. We had some not very intense, but we had some back-end cloud functions that were taking up a good bit of space. But primarily it was because we have storage needs for this app, which you saw in another video, maybe Resourceful Classmate. It's another app I worked on that I've deployed with Noodle. And the storage needs are much higher than what's available in the basic Noodle packages. So we were advised by Noodle that it would be a really good idea to try self-hosting already. But then it means having to kind of migrate from cloud to self-hosted, which when it's just in prototype phase is not a big deal. But because we had some real data and some real users, it's going to be a bit of a hassle. Not impossible, but a bit of a hassle doing it. And I'll probably do a video on that as well. I'll definitely do a video on that as well, because I think it's important to see both sides. This side will be I know I'm going to self-host, so I should do it already and not wait until later, because I don't want to have to do the migration later when I have real data in there. And then I'll show you in a future video, we'll see the example, I hope, of Resourceful getting migrated from the existing cloud service to Noodle's cloud service to Amazon AWS. So it'll be interesting exporting databases, schema and stuff like that. So that'll be for another time. So why I'm doing this is because it's such a hassle going from, sort of existing beta testing to in the Noodle cloud hosting, going to Amazon cloud hosting is a kerfuffle. So I'm starting the way I mean to continue this time, and we're going to get LearnBook set up today on its own self-hosted Amazon instance. Probably won't work because I'll need to do like a domain name registration with Amazon. I'm showing you this from scratch, like I've just skimmed the documents to know which pages I have to have open, but I haven't actually done any of it yet. So you're seeing it as you will be seeing it, probably trying to muddle through the guide. Getting stuck. So this is not like a full tutorial. This is like me trying it out, and I hope that you'll not then make some of the same mistakes that I will make today, undoubtedly. So let's just get into it and see if at the end at least we can get everything set up, and at least maybe access it by IP address and not by domain name yet, but we'll see how it goes. And it should all be straightforward. From skimming it, it looks straightforward. So, I'll probably regret saying that, but anyway. So, to self-host, you're going to need to have the self-host feature, which is only available as if you start paying for the basic plan, which is whatever, $15 a month or something like that. So you just need to have a Noodle editor license, and then you can get onto the self-hosting option in your editor. So if you have the self-hosting option, it's in deploy. Make sure you're on 2.9.2 or higher. It'll be in self-hosting. So just to keep that in mind, I'm just going to close WhatsApp so I don't get disturbed. If you have self-hosting and you can see connected cloud service, pick folder, then that means that you have the right kind of account to do that. But there's also free trials, so you can get a free trial of the paid plan for 30 days, and then you would be able to deploy to a folder as well, and that you would get your app deployed regardless of the fact that you don't have an editor. Obviously then when it comes to, if you don't pay for the editor, then you'll never be able to edit the app ever again. You'll deploy it once and it'll just be deployed like that forever and you'll be stuck. So that's kind of, it's not For the moment, it's not 100% open source. It's, the editor itself is not open source. So at the moment, you're still like a tiny bit vendor locked in, but really, really tiny, with the fact that you have to have that editor license to get access to your app and be able to edit it. Otherwise it's just a big deployment of Noodle React code, which you wouldn't really be able to edit yourself unless you're a really highly talented coder and the Noodle code by heart. So, you're still a little bit locked in, but that's only going to be until probably the end of the year, beginning of next year, whenever the Noodle team actually release full open source for the editor. Then you'll have your own open source editor, and you can a community version of the editor that you can edit your self-hosted app with. So then it will really be totally free, except for the hosting costs with Amazon, obviously. But you could host it on your own server. I'm showing Amazon today. There's absolutely no reason why you couldn't host it on a home server, and I'm sure Noodle will publish some sort of guide when the open sourcing really happens on how you would publish just to your own server, publish to Linux kind of guide. So that'll be really cool. Anyway, intro. We're going to need to set up a database cluster on MongoDB Atlas. Luckily, I've already done that before. And Postgres is supported as well, by the way, which was really exciting. I didn't know that. So I'm just discovering that. So yeah, I love MongoDB, and using Parse on top of MongoDB is great. I didn't know that Parse could use Postgres as well. Postgres is a really nice database, very fast, classic database, SQL database. So, that if that's something that floats your boat, I guess it's really like, the choice would be, one day I might have to go into the database and actually do some maintenance or check some data or something like that manually. Do I want to do that through MongoDB and Atlas, or do I want to do it with Postgres? MongoDB can be self-hosted, and you don't have to use Atlas. You can use a software called Compass. MongoDB Compass. Obviously a very watered down version of Atlas. But it enables you to have a graphical user interface for your MongoDB. So you can download it onto your computer, and then dial into your, I don't know if they have any screenshots. No. Dial into your database from your computer and edit data and see the collections and just check everything's okay. But it won't give you like the big money stuff that comes with MongoDB Atlas in terms of like scaling and monitoring and all that stuff, all that good stuff. Postgres also, so I would go two directions with that. Either do your own Postgres if you know about SQL and you know how to use like, what is it called? Postgres PS MyAdmin or whatever it was called, PG admin. That software where you can dial into a Postgres database and view it and modify it and check things and whatever, if you're confident with that. Otherwise, go with something like Supabase. So Supabase is a Postgres layer on top of Postgres. So that gives you it's not no code, it's like quite codey, a little bit low code, but you can set up pretty interesting things there, and it has a REST endpoint possibility. So that might be one way to do it. Now, I don't know how that works, setting it up with Postgres and Supabase self-hosted. Does that work? I have no idea. But it's just to say that those are very interesting options to explore, for you to explore and to think about. I'm going to go with MongoDB because it's really easy. MongoDB is just easy, fast. It's not as robust as Postgres in terms of like querying and stuff like that. But and I'm not a database expert either, so I can't say for sure. The fight between them is pretty vicious in terms of pros and cons. But I've grown to love MongoDB. I like Atlas. I think the pricing is pretty fair on Atlas, pretty like low level pricing. So I'll go with MongoDB and Atlas today. So we need a container that's going to be in AWS and the self-hosted backend. We will see all these in a minute. So blah, blah, blah. Yes, we know there is the database, the backend service, and the front end. So database is MongoDB. The backend service is the cloud stuff and Parse platform, which we're going to set up in AWS. And then the front end part, if I've read it right, is going to be set up as a static web page in an S3 bucket, an AWS S3 bucket, which is a pretty funky idea on how to set up the website. So I like that a lot. Let's go for the database then. So we're going to go to Atlas. We're going to sign in. I do already have an account, I think. Now we're going to set up a database where I will change all the codes and stuff afterwards. So I'm going to show you all the codes, and hopefully I remember to do that very quickly. So if anyone wants to try to hack in, then they'll see that the codes have been changed. I don't want to do multi-factor because if somebody wants to hack me, I want to make it easy for them. I don't want to give somebody any bother. So here we go. We've got, I don't think I have any clusters at the moment. So let's just go from, so if in your case, you would have just signed up for Atlas, username, password, what's your organization name, etc., etc. And then you get into this main screen and we go to create a database. So where's that? Create. Okay, tell me more. Follow the instructions to set up your account, create a new database. You can start by choosing the free plan. You can always upgrade later, and then the cloud provider and region where you'd like to host your database. Okay. So we're going to do shared, I think, because that's going to be the free one. Ooh, and there's Paris for free. Very nice. I'm in France, so that's exciting. It means that this is the kind of exciting thing about Noodle self-hosting, is that if you're going the Noodle cloud service, you can't guarantee where your data is stored. It could be spread amongst different databases, different data centers. I can choose Paris as a data center, so that means my data is stored in Amazon, but in the Amazon Paris data center. So technically speaking, that means that the data is stored in France. There, in terms of legal arguments about that, we're going to go down the road of, yes, but it's an American company who owns the data center. The brand is American, therefore it still could apply to American law. But I'm not a legal expert, so I won't comment on it. But I'm sure there's an argument to be made that it's not perfect. But at least my data is stored in Paris. Again, MongoDB is open source. So if you want, you can set, choose. For France, it would be OVH, would be our hosting provider that's like really French, 100% French. So I would choose an OVH server and I would install MongoDB on my own OVH server, and then it would be really, really in France as well. And I could use Compass to get all the data I need. So anyway, let's just say that's fine. We're going to use shared RAM, 512 megabytes storage. That's fine for the moment. So yeah, I guess that's the free one, M0, and then otherwise it's going to be like $9 a month for 2 gigs of data storage, which is quite a lot of data, to be fair, with shared RAM and shared CPU. So you can check all the pricing stuff, and they do like backup and stuff as well. So you can turn that on when you get to a paid plan, turn on the backup and get database backup. So these are the advantages of Atlas over just doing your own version. But obviously you could get ChatGPT to tell you, say, hi ChatGPT, I have my own Linux server, I've installed MongoDB, I'd really like to have backups, I'd really like to have termination protection, I'd really like to have blah, 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 blah. And ChatGPT will tell you like the open source versions of all of these things probably, and help you to set that up. So we're going to call this LearnBook cluster. Don't need any tags. Project already has a free cluster. Select another cluster tier and add an instance. Huh? Oh, I have to delete the existing cluster, I guess. Oops. So this is, I said it's not a tutorial. I really have to, okay. Terminate. Cluster 0, go away forever. Shutting down. Goodbye. Build a database. So M0 free, AWS Paris. It's going to be called LearnBook. No tags. That was way faster that time. So how would you like to authenticate your connection? You'll be shown the security section of the setup. This controls who can access your database. You don't need to create a user, as there's an admin user by default. You can choose to limit the IP addresses that can access your database, but don't worry about that now. You can edit it later. Just finish and close. Copy that. So we'll not use username and passwords. Oh, there's a username Richard with a password. Should have changed that. Oh, there. Okay. Enter password. Auto-generate secure password. Copy secure password. Put it somewhere where the fine people watching can't see it. So, okay. MongoDB, LearnBook, Yes, I type all my passwords in somewhere. So if you ever hack my computer, you can just find a nice handy folder with all my passwords, and my life will be ruined. Just think about that. I'm an easy mark. I'm a pigeon. Okay, so where would you like to connect from? My local environment. So it says we don't need to restrict IP access yet. We can do it later. IP access is 000, which means anybody. So that's fine. Congratulations on setting up access rules. Go to database. Ta-da! So now we have a database. So MongoDB works via collections. I don't know how parse works with that. I don't know how Noodle makes parse work with that. But the idea of MongoDB is that the collections are like the classes or tables. And then within that, you can put any data you want. There is no, in the basic MongoDB, there is no data structure. You can just add in whatever the hell you want, as long as it's in JSON format, or BSON or something it's called when it's in MongoDB. I think it's like a binary, whatever the SON stands for. Anyway, the point is that the basic one is just set up to contain any data. So now adding parse on top of it, which Noodle does, enforces a schema. I think it might be the French way to say it, I'm not sure. And that is good because it means you can control which classes have what values, and then the data calls are way easier to do instead of constructing these kind of funky MongoDB queries that can query. Maybe there's a field like that, maybe not, we don't know, because anything can happen in a collection. So there's no necessary fields, and the fields can change from one record to another. So it's good to have that level of parse on top of it. I'm sort of killing time here because it seems like my database is spinning up. So let's kill time in here instead. Finish and close. Once your database is up and running, you need to get the connection details for the next step. First, you need to obtain the password of the admin user. I have it. You will find your database users under database access. So I actually have that already. Admin user is Richard, and I have the password. Now you need to find the connection URI in your cluster dashboard. Choose connect. Follow connect to your application. Let's see if it's ready. Come on. Maybe I can already do it. Connect. Ooh, yeah, cool. So connect your application. So I guess Atlas has changed ever since I was using it before. So it's not just connect your application anymore. Easily connect SQL tools, access your Atlas using native drivers. So yeah, connect to your application. That's probably this one then, isn't it? Connect to your application, native drivers. Yeah, so it's just they've changed the look. So somebody could maybe update the screenshots, couldn't they? Just saying. Make sure the version is 3.6 or later of Node.js. Node.js 3.6 or later. Non-stable API? Interesting. So it says make sure it's 3.6 or later. I'm going to set it to exactly 3.6 or later. Now you need to copy and keep the connection URI shown. It will look something like this. MongoDB server, admin, password, cluster, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so I'm going to need to change this to Richard and this to the password that I put in. Okay, so this, yeah, Richard and then password at learnbook.dd, and that's the link that we need to copy. You need to replace password with admin password. Also insert the name of your database in the URL. You can pick any name. Let's call it NoodleDB. Oh, okay. Yeah, so we have the database, and then we need to choose a name for it as well. NoodleDB. Yeah. You can pick any name. Let's call it NoodleDB. Your final URL. So like, okay. So we're going to take this. Let me put it in a little notepad or something. I don't know. Can I get a notepad? It'll do. No. God. I want an online notepad. Is that so much to ask? Oh, there's one. Okay. Bim. No. Whatever. Go. So Richard, password, LearnBook, and then they said, so it's LearnBook, mongodb.net / Noodle DB. So I guess that will, what I imagine that's doing is creating a collection inside my database called Noodle DB. We'll find out afterwards because we actually have access to it, so we can see what's happening in the back end, which is very exciting. So nice, happy, and then look, my database is running. No connections yet, but yeah, you've got this monitoring and all this cool stuff that you can do while your app is running, so that's very nice. Keep this URI safe, it will give you full access to your database. Whoa, that's heavy, dude. So that's why it's probably a good idea, first of all, to keep the password safe, but second of all, to keep the IP addresses limited and find, maybe get a static IP with your AWS and then feed that into the IP whitelist. Backend service. Next, we'll deploy an instance of the Noodle backend service that will point our application to. We provide guides for setting up Noodle on Amazon services. So I clicked on this and it gave me this. Setting up a backend on Amazon Web Services. This guide will cover how to set up Noodle backend on AWS. You'll need an AWS account, so you need to get one of these jobbies. AWS accounts are free. AWS services are paid for by usage. So if you don't use any services, you won't have to pay anything. They'll probably ask you to put in a payment method because as soon as you start using something, it'll charge you 1 cent, 2 cents, 3 cents, it'll build up. And you have there is a service for checking that called, I can't remember what, Cloud something. CloudWatch, was it CloudWatch? CloudWatch, yeah. CloudWatch will help you monitor resource and applications, so that's a good one to have open at least once, so that when you open an AWS has 1 million applications. When you open one of them and then go back to your dashboard, then that'll become recently visited, and I think it also pops up in the search as well, or services. Yeah, recently visited. So that helps you keep track of things that you'll actually need, like S3 we're going to need. CloudWatch we're going to need. Probably IAM Identity Center, you're not going to need it unless you want to add other developers to your account. So this is actually my client's account and they added me to it as a user. Anyway, so let's move on. We are here. So the service we'll need is called App Runner. So there's another one we're going to need to keep an eye on. It's called App Runner. AWS App Runner. Create a new service. Oh yeah, and I'm in Ireland. Cool. Or Frankfurt. Ireland or Frankfurt. I trust Germany to be more long-term EU partner than Ireland. That's really mean to say, but Ireland will never be out of the European Union. I shouldn't even say that. That's ridiculous. But yeah, I don't know why. Frankfurt just seems a little bit more mainland Europe. I'm going to get in trouble for saying these kind of things. I'm sorry. Let's create an App Runner service and just pretend that conversation never happened. When setting up the new service, you need to specify that the image is to be fetched from the container registry. Okay, that's done. The image URL to use is copy paste. It's a private or public. I guess if they don't say anything in the guide, then I'll just leave it the way it is. And you can choose if you want to manually control when you redeploy the instance. This is needed if the Noodle backend image is updated and you want to apply the updates to your service. You can also choose to automatically track changes when you're done. Click next. Must be a valid ECR image URI. Oh, well, yeah, it would be the public one then, wouldn't it? Because this one's saying no, and this one says shared by vendors, open source projects, and community developers. That would sort of make sense then, yeah. So manual, we don't actually have an option to set the automatic triggers, so we'll just do next. Service name, we're going to call this LearnBook Backend. We're going to give it 1 vCPU, 2 gigs of memory, because that I imagine is not going to be very expensive. We will find out. And that's a good minimum, I think. One vCPU and 2 gigs of memory will be good for testing as well. Environment variables, I don't want any, I guess. Do I? You could choose automatic changes. On the next screen, you'll provide a name for your service and you can change settings for the service. For the most part, you can keep the standard settings, but a few need to be changed. The port of the application needs to be set for 3000. So port 3000. You also need to provide a few environment variables for the instance. To do this, add, so we do need environment variables after all. The following variables are needed. App ID, I'm going to copy paste these so I don't make any silly mistakes. Environment variables, options, key pair values. This doesn't just give me a key pair value. Plain text then, I guess. Let's do that. App ID, master key. Again, somebody needs to update these screenshots, guys. Just saying. So public server URL is optional. Oh, okay, I actually have to choose values for them as well. Oops. So let's get them all in first. Public service URL optional. This is needed if you want to support file uploads and downloads. In that case, you might need to go back here and update this environment variable after you've received the URL in the next step. This variable should be the public URL where your cloud service can be reached, starting with HTTPS. Okay, well, we'll find out. I do want to upload and download files. Who doesn't? So app ID is going to have to be something. App ID, you can choose this yourself. You need to provide it in the Noodle editor when connecting to your backend. Environment variable app ID is going to be LearnBook. Can it just be LearnBook? Is that okay? I don't know. Yeah, fine. Master key. This needs a password. Need to keep safe. Password, get full access to the backend. So also need to connect your backend from Noodle. So I'm going to set this up and then change it later using my old dash lane. Gotta love that password generator. Oh yeah, look at that secure password. I'll store that for later. So at app ID was LearnBook, master key set. Okay, database URI. This is probably that important part. Then this is the database URL you got when you set up the MongoDB database. This can also be a Postgres URL. Okay, where's my little notepad? So I'm gonna have to put the password in. That's okay. I'll change it later. So password goes here and copy that. So I've got MongoDB Richard password at learnbook blah 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 /noodledb. So I added the noodledb, added the password. We're good. It's good. Public service URL. So it said we don't have that yet, so leave it blank for the moment. With this in place, you can move on to reviewing your settings and deploying your service. It might take a few minutes, so better get started then. Auto scaling. Oh yeah. That's going to be useful later. Permissions, blah, blah, instant role, don't care. Use it. So it says we can use these. It says we can leave them at the default settings. Maybe it's something that would be good to check, but let's just do it like this for the moment and see what happens. Oh, an environment variable is required HTTPS. So we'll come back and set that later when we know what the file upload URL is going to be. Review your settings. Looks good to me. Nice, nice, nice. Create and deploy. Ooh, look at it going. This can take several minutes. Okay, once the service is up and running, your last step is to find the URL of the service. You can find it by navigating to the service details page. With this URL, master key and app ID in hand, go back to the self-hosting guide. File storage. Let's do this. If you want to support file upload and download, you need to specify the public server URL environment variable as noted above. By default, the files will be stored in the database of your application. But if you instead want to use an S3 bucket, I sure do, for storage, you need to create a bucket policy and find instructions on that here. Oh, look, we have another guide to go to. Oh God, it's never going to end. Okay, let's just follow this and we're just going to power through. Come on, a little bit of courage here, guys. We're going to create a bucket in S3, log into your AWS account or create a new one. Head to the S3 service and choose create a bucket. Fill out a bucket name, click create. The bucket name should not contain any period for direct access to work. Okay, so just a straight name. So I already have a LearnBook bucket, but I'm going to create a new one just because maybe I'll keep this for other stuff. So we're going to call this LearnBook storage, LearnBook uploads. Whatever. Frankfurt again. Unless they have Paris. Oh, they do. Yeah, files in Paris. Nice. ACL. Okay, so ACL disabled. Let's see what it says about that. Fill out a bucket name. Now head directly to identity and access management. Click users, create new user. Okay. So ACLs are going to be disabled. It's going to be a direct ownership by a specific user, I imagine. That's going to be an Amazon user that's connected to this bucket. So let's just say we're not going to, are we going to block all public access? Action S3, resource bucket name, blah, blah, blah. Validate policy, attach policy, configuration options, S3 access key bucket, blah, blah, blah. If you're using Node. Oh my Lord, this is going to be long. Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do something that I think I know I need to do, which is allowing public access to the bucket. Buckets and objects through access control. This bucket policies access for in order to ensure the public access to this bucket. This object is blocked. Turn on block all public access. This settings apply to the bucket. Turn on block all public before applying any of these settings. Ensure your applications. I'm going to leave it off for the moment because I do feel like this is the thing that often messes me up then, that I can't access the files that I'm trying to access. Like if I'm trying to share an image with someone, they won't see it because they're not the ones who created it or something like that. I'll leave it on for now. We'll see what happens later. It is a bit scary. Bucket versioning, don't care. It would be probably good, but I don't want it right now because it probably costs money. Encryption, manage keys, whatever. Bucket key, enable. Okay, let's just say create bucket. Let's just go wild. Now head to the identity and access management service. So we've got LearnBook uploads there. Identity and access management. Click users and create new user. I hate this whole regions thing. Delete the current IAM identity center configuration. Sorry, to enable IAM center in this region, you must first delete the current. But if I do that, then I'll delete myself, surely. Okay, let's just try it in old North Virginia and see what happens. It might not work. See, I don't want to delete myself because that's me. So create new user. Fill out at least one username and make sure generate an access key for each user is selected before clicking create. So let's click add user. LearnBook storage. Generate a one-time password. Don't need emails. Display name. LearnBook storage. Okay, so what did it say? Fill out at least one username and make sure generate an access key for each user is selected. Yes, that's that one then, I guess. Oh, we have to have an email. Oh, for God's sake. I don't need a group. Okay. Okay. So let's copy all this stuff, put it in my little fancy notepad. And that's all good. Close that. Okay. What next? Make sure to download credentials on next screen. That's what I did. Now select policies tab and then create a policy. So I guess this is in my S3 bucket. LearnBook uploads. I bet this is going to tell me I can't do it because I'm not in the same region, but whatever. Let's just do it. Permissions. Bucket policy. So select policies, create policy, create your own policy, fill out a policy name. Oh no. Is this supposed to be a policy in the users tab? Validate policy, create policy and permissions, attach policy. Oh, okay. No, I guess it's in the bucket then. Where's create policy? Block public access. It's maybe just this? I'm the worst at this stuff, sorry. Okay, so. No, you know what? It didn't tell me to go back to buckets. So probably I'm making a mistake. And I'm just being too quick. There's no policies here either. Super. Dang it. That's not what I want. Yeah, IAM policies. Oh, look at that. Okay. So create policy. So create policy, select create your own policy, fill out a policy name. Copy the config policy document, change bucket name. No, don't want that. That's probably where I should have created the user actually here in the global identity access management thing. So let's do that again. And now we can attach policies. So that's good. And it's saying we need to create our own policy. And I can't select create my own policy. Great. Let's try that. Whatever. is not the right place. This is not the right place. No, I'm getting turned around here, and I think this is going to just be a bit too complicated for today. So maybe we'll leave this for now, and we'll not have file storage just yet. We need to get finished with this. It's taking too long. So yeah, well, let's come back to file storage another time in another video, and specifically focus on how to set up with this parse guide that is not very well done, and the Noodle guide. So let's just stick with this bit. We've got our URL. We can go back to our self-hosting guide. So we've done this bit. We're going to connect our application to the self-hosted backend. This is the moment of truth. One thing I discovered when talking to Anders from Noodle, I was worried that if I've already set up a cloud function, say Stripe payments or something like that, and I've modified it a bit, then am I going to lose that if I go over to a different cloud service? And he was saying the cloud service itself doesn't host the cloud functions. The cloud functions are actually hosted locally on your computer at the beginning, and it's doing like an API call to your own computer to return data from the cloud functions. So that's why cloud functions actually react very quickly in the local editor, and they react differently and sometimes time out when they're in the deployed version, which I discovered to my great dismay, that I was very excited about how fast the cloud functions were working on my computer until I realized, oh, I actually need an equally fast server to have them run that quickly. It's my computer that's making them run that quickly. So that's something I didn't know, and something that I was educated about recently. So essentially, if I've changed from this LearnBook Noodle cloud service over to my own self-hosted one, it'll copy over not just the front end, but also the back end. So you'll get the cloud functions will be copied into the new cloud service, the self-hosted one that we're setting up now. The database won't be. That's the thing that does not get copied over. That's what you have to copy manually on what we're doing with MongoDB. But that was a really good thing, because in Resourceful, I have a lot of cloud functions, and I didn't want to have to rebuild them all or like copy paste them all. And I was reassured that no, that's not the case. The cloud functions are tied to the app, specifically tied to the app. Cloud functions are not specifically tied to the backend cloud service. So that's good news. Okay, where are we? So find cloud services, find the plus icon to create a new cloud service. Use a self-hosted cloud service. Ooh. Okay, fill out the information, name any name you want. This will be the name of the backend and list of backends. So we'll call this LearnBook. Description don't need. Endpoint, this is the URL of the backend service you've created in the previous step. Okay. Oh yes, the one that was in Amazon that we were creating. So that should be in my app runner. In Paris, wasn't it? That's where we put it. No, Frankfurt. No, it must have been Paris then. No, it's not Paris. Was it Ireland? No. Where did I put it? Okay, just open that old left menu, easy peasy. So it is in Frankfurt, LearnBook backend running, and the default domain, bingo, is here. So let's get that. I think this is the one we're looking for, isn't it? Yeah, default domain, that's the one. Nice, so it's in the other guide. Okay. Copy link. Put it into here, endpoint. Invalid URL, remove the slash from the end. Sorry. Application ID, this is the application ID you provided when you set up the backend service in the previous step. So it's the one I saved, and the master key also the one that I created in the Previous step is needed for the editor to access the database. This is stored locally and encrypted. You need to keep this safe. Yeah, so it's only people who have that password who can actually get in the editor and see that backend. And it's important because that person who has that password could connect their Noodle to the backend to actually see your entire database and stuff like that. So that's not so good. Where are we? Yeah, okay, so put in your application ID and master key. So I'll get out my application ID. It was LearnBook and the password was the one you already saw. And again, all this has to be changed afterwards, but whatever. Come on, baby. So I guess the test now is to add something. You can make some quick tests, for example, opening dashboard and create a class to see if it works. Let's do it. Ooh, it's looking okay. We'll create a class called, I already had a class before, didn't I? It was called course, something like that. No, lesson. Let's create a lesson class. Oh yeah, let's add a row, add a column, name. Ooh, and now what happens if we go into our MongoDB and have a look? Something's happening. Something is happening. Browse collections. I would definitely not touch the collections, but hey, look at that. There's all the classes and there's the tests I just created. Oh, I'm very happy. That makes me happy. So actually it was pretty easy. The whole database thing, a pain in this file storage thing, a pain in the butt, but that part was easy. So that's cool. Okay, so now another time we're going to do this migrating thing. That's what we're going to do with Resourceful, migrating a database from an existing archive that you can get from the Noodle team. They can send you a database dump and you can push it to your new backend. And the next thing we're going to do is self-host your Noodle front end. This shouldn't be too difficult. Alrighty, let's do it. Okay, using self-hosted. So we're going to deploy our app to a folder, and then we're going to follow the Amazon Web Service Guide to get it into our bucket. Okay. Yep. So let's go. Deploy self-hosting. Is that our homepage? Yeah, our homepage is okay. Self-hosting cloud service. We have to select the LearnBook one, which is the open source one, which is the caps, as you can see on the left, the self-hosted one. Pick folder, because it means that wherever you deploy it to, it's going to do API calls to this backend service. So that's why it needs to be connected when you're doing it. So let's do a new folder called LearnBook deploy. Deployed. So if I've understood it correctly, what we will now have is this is your website. This is your static website. So deploying this should, actually I wonder if we just cheekily open it, will that do anything? No, it won't. Let's deploy it and see what happens. So we're going to follow the Amazon guide on how to host a static website, which is this link here, or you do it on Google if you want to, or in the future your own service.
In this session, you will learn about how to host a static website on AWS.
Okay.
It is durable,
Yeah.
S3,
Sure.
and object.
Okay.
Now, he wants to showcase.
Okay.
Once you are logged into your AWS console, click on the services. On the top left, this will show
So we're going to S3.
Amazon S3 data, which I will do 100 buckets in each of your AWS account. Just in case you need more additional buckets, you can increase your bucket limit. Your bucket name must be unique.
So So we need to create a bucket.
Logging and taggings. I don't need this at this demo, so I will move next. You will see on the screen that you can configure Verge demo. You need to grant public read access to the bucket.
So that's an important point. Let's get started then. We're going to go Frankfurt. We're going to go S3. We're going to go S3 buckets. We're going to go call this one LearnBook Deploy. We're going to call this one LearnBook Dev, excuse me, because we're going to have LearnBook Dev and LearnBook Prod. So LearnBook Dev is going to be there. We're going to have this one in beautiful Paris. Forget about the bed bugs thing. It's still a beautiful place. Depending on when you're watching this video, there were bed bugs in October 2023 in Paris. ACL is disabled, and I'm going to enable public access to this bucket. Everybody can get in because we want them to access the website, don't we? Versioning might be important, but this is a dev one, so we don't care. Bucket key, whatever. And there it is, LearnBook uploads. No, LearnBook dev. Nice. Now what, my lady?
Select that option. So if your content inside the bucket for website host XML error, review the configuration. There you go. Now you can see the bucket that I created. Drag my files to the bucket. Let's do it now.
Okay. Drag my files to the bucket. Oops. Okay, I'll add these files. Or maybe I should just do add folder. No, okay, I can only add files. Okay, let's do add these files. Let's do it bit by bit. Add folder, and then we'll add these ones. Do I want to upload all files from assets? I sure do. And I want to upload all fonts. I sure do. I guess the pay. Oh no, I didn't want to do that. Oh no, what have I done? Oh no, okay. I have to delete everything and start again. Oops. I should have just done add folder because it's adding the contents inside the folder. Now, I hope this works. And it just adds the folders inside my folder. Oops. That one I want. Upload. Yes. I do trust it. So that's just added them all. Oh no, yeah, folder, that's okay. LearnBook deploy. Ah, no, it's showing me each individual file in this. We don't want it to be in that folder, I don't think. Yeah, no, we don't want it to be in that folder. No, I was wrong. I was wrong. Wrong. It's right the first time. Yeah, so it's uploading the folder, but showing me the individual files inside every folder. So that's just because it's in upload mode. So add these files at the root. So there's the root. Add this folder. Yes. Add this folder, and then the folder comes up there, assets, images, etc. Fonts, upload, yes. And then Noodle modules, upload, yes. And Noodle bundles, upload, yes. That should be all of the files, and they're all in the right folders, so we can upload. Public, yeah, this public is no. Okay, storage class standards. Okay, don't need any of that, I don't think. I hope. It's uploading.
Select your storage classes or configure page. Then click upload. The size of your files. Okay, the upload is finished. Click on the Properties tab. On this page, you can configure or learn more about versioning, encryption of objects.
Static web hosting, eh? So it's good. Upload complete. Nice. What does she say that we should be clicking on? Sorry. Again, you know, their system is changing, and
click on the Properties tab.
Properties tab. Okay. Properties. Static website hosting. What does my lady have to say about that?
Setup. Select use this bucket to host a website.
So, static website hosting enable. Host a static website.
Home page. So I will type in index.
What was our one? So we are index.html as well, isn't that handy? Okie doke.
.html. If you have an error page or file, you can enter in the error document field. So for example, an internet user tries save. Click on the static web hosting section again. You can see that there is an endpoint here where you can check your website. So
Ooh, that's exciting. Okay, I'm gonna do that. Then it means I don't have to worry about the whole domain name thing. Okay. Oh. Moment of truth. Oh. Come on. What have I done? I bet it's permissions that are the problem. Objects can be public. Oh, here we go. This bucket has owner enforced settings applied or object ownership. When bucket owner enforced is applied, use bucket policies to control access. Ah, great. I guess it's security. Don't complain about security. Can I fix it? Maybe. Permissions. Okie dokie. So it says when bucket owner enforced is on. Alright, can we take it off then? Object writer remains the owner. Bucket owner preferred. If new objects written in the bucket specified. Enabling ACL turns off bucket owner enforcing settings. I acknowledge the ACL will be restored. Is this going to destroy everything? We will see. And then we can now edit this list and say everybody has read access, list access and read access. Why not? I understand. I want to see my website, please. I mean, digging into the security rules, definitely something I should be doing. But right now I just want to see if it's just working. Not. But that could be because the stuff that I've uploaded, I actually need to delete all of that and upload it again with a bit more care to the permanently delete, a bit more care to the whole security settings of the objects I'm uploading. It's just, I think it looks like the object is forbidden, so it's just that I'm not allowed to access that object. So it's because it's I'm not the bucket owner or whatever. So let's say we'll do that again. We're going to do add files, and this time we're going to be really careful about we're going to be very careful about what settings we use for these objects. Okay, this time permissions. There we go. Public read access we have this time. Storage class standards. So this time we have that public read access thing that we saw in that video from Amazon that we didn't have last time. Maybe that'll work this time. Fun. Let's just double check that our that we did the fact that we changed the index thing probably won't matter because it's just specifying text, so that's good. That's all good. And then oh yes, that's awesome. That is awesome. We have a self-hosted Noodle website with the backend in a bucket on Amazon. It's just so weird, but it's so cool. So that's very cool. So all we're missing now is the storage, but I don't have any upload workflows yet, so it's not that big a deal. But yeah, I want to get that done pretty quickly. But we have a MongoDB, which we could have self-hosted on our own server if we wanted to with Compass. We have an Amazon bucket, but equally could have been just any static storage anywhere on your own home server. You could be storing it and pointing running a web server on your home server and then pointing to the index file. So that's it did take a while, and there was definitely a whole kerfuffle with that file part, but in the end that was pretty straightforward. Bravo, Noodle. And I really hope this video has been helpful, not too long. And yeah, I'll be back to talk about the file uploading, and I'll be back to talk about Resourceful, the other app that I'm going to be moving from a cloud service in Noodle over to my own self-hosted stuff. So fun, exciting, and see you all later.